I love talking about my different fandoms and favorite video games and movies and TV shows as much as the next person, but there are things happening right now in our country that need to be talked about. It's political, it's not good news, it's things that are uncomfortable to talk about but that need to be talked about and need to be brought attention to. People need to know and stay informed of what is going on. Below in my video description there is an ever-growing list of people, social media accounts, organizations, and websites that are standing up to the hatred and violence we are seeing by our quote-unquote President Trump. Check out any of the links and social media accounts that I have at the bottom of my description to stay informed and to find out how you can help fight back. Just like Captain America said that it doesn't matter what the mobs or the politicians tells you. It doesn't matter if so many of them is saying something wrong is something right. And if they come to you saying that, telling you to move, it is your job to stand there and plant yourself beside the river of truth and say, no, you move. Hatred and ignorance and fear is not what makes our country great. Hey geeks, what's happening? Welcome to my channel. I am T-Ray Guillotine. That sounds terrible. Hey geeks, welcome to my channel. I'm Trey Guillotine, and today we are geeking out about the Batman. There's a lot of casting news and some possibly troubling comments coming out from DC's 2021 reboot of their Batman franchise. But first, I got one question for you. What you gaming on? If you want your answer featured in an upcoming video and segment of What You Gaming On, make sure to let me know in the comments of this video or on any of my social media what game you're playing, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and your answers will be featured in an upcoming video. We're going to go ahead and jump into what I've been gaming on, and I've been kind of all over the place lately trying to pin down what I want to play. I've been playing a lot of WoW, I'm playing a lot of other fantasy RPGs, but I literally picked this game up on the Game Pass because I thought it looked cool. Haven't heard anything else about it. Vampyr, F-A-M-P-Y-R. So I don't know if this is a game that is connected to like Vampire the Masquerade, which is a tabletop RPG, which I actually tried to get into, but it didn't really work out. So I don't know if there's a connection there, but I've been playing it. I'm still like in the very beginning. I'm pretty sure I just finished the tutorial. It's really cool. It is. It's really cool. There's nothing about it that I don't really like about it yet. The combat is fairly simple. The story is very intriguing. I like that the characters, it's not that he has a gray morality, but he's kind of like, in life he was a doctor and was committed to helping people, but now he's also a vampire and he has to like feed on people. So I'm interested to see where that kind of like duality takes him. And I kind of have a feeling that this is going to be a game that you're going to choose that morality, where, like, are you just going to feed on rats? Are you going to feed on people? Are you just going to feed on bad people? I don't know. It's, like, so far, I'm really enjoying it. This is one of those games that I just kind of picked up because it was on the Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, whatever. Sounds cool. I like vampires and fantasy and stuff, so let me check it out. And so far, I've been pleasantly surprised. I've really enjoyed it. But now I want to hear from you, so I want to hear what you gaming on. So remember, if you want your answer featured, leave a comment in this video or on any of my social media, and your answer will be featured in an upcoming video. But let's jump into today's topic, which is the Batman. It's DC's, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure if it's officially a reboot or a continuation of where their Batman is, or maybe it's the early years of the Ben Affleck Batman we've already seen. It's very confusing what is going on with DC and Batman right now, especially with the Joker, and there's the Joaquin Phoenix Joker that's actually doing really well, apparently. I admit, I haven't seen it yet. I will at some point. And then there's some unhappiness with Jared Leto and his Joker, so DC's just kind of, well, as usual, all over the place, but right now we're going to focus on some of the news coming out of the Batman, which is being directed by Matt Reeves and is set to come out in 2021 with the first casting we already know about was Robert Pattinson as the Batman. As Batman. I mean, I guess he is the Batman, but as Batman, unless he is playing Man-Bat. That'd be an interesting twist. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that would be interesting. So Robert Pattinson is as Batman, and we've gotten 2 more casting announcements, which I find really interesting. The first casting announcement is Zoe Kravitz has been cast to play Catwoman Selina Kyle. So she will be playing Catwoman, and then the other announcement is for the character of the Riddler, who is going to be played by Paul Dano. Either of these actors, I think, could do really well in the role, but the thing that interests me, both with Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz, and Robert Pattinson, is the fact that they're all, or they at least all look fairly young. They look fairly young for their age, which a majority of the characters that we've seen have been in, like, their mid to late 30s, whereas this, like, Robert Pattinson, like, I don't know their actual ages offhand, but they look fairly young, and it's kind of giving me an idea that the Batman might actually take some notes from Batman Year One, which I think is a really cool idea. It's one of my personal favorite story arcs. I actually haven't read this in a while, so now that I've picked this up and have been thinking about it being in the Batman movie, I actually need to go ahead and reread this, because this is one of the ones I really, really enjoyed. It's one of the few, like, full story arcs of Batman that I've read. But I think that would be really cool. I would love to see, like, the beginning years of the Batman. Now, yes, we did kind of see that with Chris Nolan's Batman, but that was such a different Batman. That Batman was less of a superhero movie than it was a crime drama. And that was definitely the big focus of this. So I know not everyone wants to see another origin story. We all know how Batman becomes Batman. We all know about Thomas and Martha Wayne getting gunned down outside of the movie theater after seeing Zorro and the pearls going everywhere. We've already seen it in the DC universe, where they had Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne, which he was supposed to go on to play Flashpoint Paradox Batman, but they've scrapped that idea because which I don't know why they scrapped that idea, because it was a great idea, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be an awesome Thomas Wayne Batman. I mean, honestly, he'd be an awesome Batman, but that's not what we're talking about. We've already seen Batman's origin story, so we may not want to see it again, but if we do see not so much his origin story, but how he got set up back in Gotham as Batman, see the things that he went through, the things that he figured out, and not only him, but in Year One, we see the beginnings of a number of the different villains. We also see a beginning of Commissioner Gordon, like when he first arrives in Gotham City and what he goes through in this very corrupt city, in this very corrupt police force, and how he overcomes that. That's kind of what I wanted Gotham to be, but it ended up not being that, and I lost interest in Gotham very quickly. But casting isn't the only news that's coming out of the Batman. Recently, the New York Times was talking to Robert Pattinson about his taking on the role of the Batman, and he had some, to me, troubling comments. Pattinson said, "Batman's not a hero, though. He's a complicated character. I don't think I could ever play a real hero. There's always got to be something a little bit wrong. It's a dope character. Batman's morality is a little bit off. He's not the golden boy, unlike almost every other comic book character. There is a simplicity to his worldview, but where it sits is strange, which allows you to have more scope with the character." Okay, so the first thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to jump all over Robert Pattinson, as I'm sure there's some Twilight fans who would love to do that. I don't want to jump all over Robert Pattinson and try and, like, just be mad and just like, oh, he's stupid, that's going to be terrible, he's going to be a terrible Batman, because I don't think he is. When he was first announced as Batman, I was actually really intrigued what he would do with the role, and at the time, I was noting on, it seems like if they're going with Robert Pattinson, it does seem like they're going with a younger Batman than, say, Ben Affleck was, who Ben Affleck, also, when he was cast as Batman, I was actually really interested in that choice. I mean, of course, growing up in the 90s, I remember Ben Affleck being like young Ben Affleck, but now he's definitely bigger, he's definitely broader, he's a lot more mature. So I liked him as that kind of older, grizzled Batman that we saw in that we'd see in The Dark Knight Returns. I really enjoyed that kind of Batman, and I thought Ben Affleck did a great job. Just like when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker in The Dark Knight, the geek world exploded. They were like, no, that's a terrible idea. He's going to do terrible. And not only is he probably one of the best Jokers, probably second only to Mark Hamill. And no, again, I haven't seen the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm getting around to it. Not only was he one of the best Jokers, second to Mark Hamill, it was one of the best performances in cinematic history. I don't know if it'd be top 10, but it's definitely up there of the millions or billions of movies out there. It's definitely up there, probably top 100 at the very least. So I don't want to immediately just assume, because of this statement, which I do think is kind of troubling, that Robert Pattinson isn't going to do a job, or he doesn't really understand the character. But what does worry me is that he doesn't really understand the character, or he understands him... I was about to say he understands him in a way that's different from me, and that's not a good reason. And that, I mean, everyone looks at this character differently, everyone has their different things about this character that we really love and really identify with. But to say that Batman isn't a hero, that's where I'm kind of bothered by it. Where to say Batman isn't hero is the first thing I think of when I think of Batman, is that he is definitely a hero. Pattinson also says that there is a darkness about him, and while I really don't want to try and interpret his words and try to, look at the subtext of what he's saying, the fact that he's saying that there is a darkness to him, obviously there is. Batman is a very dark character. He's a very complicated character, which is something that I think Pattinson really touched on, is that he is a very complicated and very deep and very dark character. No matter what Batman you're looking at, there is that kind of darkness and complexity to him, which is why he's one of the better known and better loved superheroes between DC, Marvel, or any of the other comic books or movies or TV shows that even aren't comic books. Batman is Batman. He's up there. He's probably the most loved superhero in general. And there's a reason for that. It's because he's a good character. There's a lot going for him. There's a lot of complexity to him. And he really dives into just being a very fleshed out character, because he's not just the Golden Boy. Again, something that Pattinson was touching on when he's calling almost all comic book characters Golden Boys, which is something else I disagree with. But we'll touch on that in a second. Batman is definitely not the Golden Boy. He's not Superman. He's not Steve Rogers, Captain America. He's not even Tony Stark or Thor. He is a dark character. He is not the quarterback, high school, all-American, everyone loves him, and he's star-spangled, awesome character. As much as we love him, he's not that kind of character. He's definitely 100% not the Golden Boy. But I don't think that him being dark and him being complex and not being the Golden Boy makes him not heroic. Those aren't the things that define whether someone is a hero. You look at Batman, let's look at the actions and the things that Batman, and both as Batman and Bruce Wayne, has done. So Bruce Wayne, as a young child, experienced an incredibly traumatic event, is dealing with PTSD, is a survivor of both PTSD and a traumatic event, and he took that trauma, and instead of letting it win and letting it consume him, or at least consume him in a negative way, instead of turning to just drugs and drinking and essentially being the facade of Bruce Wayne, the playboy Bruce Wayne, instead of letting it overtake him in that way, he used that trauma as a springboard to become Batman, to go out into the city of Gotham at night and taking down crime, taking down bad guys, taking down the corrupt city government, taking down corrupt police in Gotham PD, and taking on some of the greatest villains that Gotham and the DC world has to offer. Like, that's what he does day and night. And while a lot of his motivation can be that it's something he feels he has to do, that comes from a point of this is something he's experienced, at least as far as I see it. This is something that he's experienced, and he doesn't want anyone to ever go through that again. So he goes out, he uses his resources, and he saves people. That's what he does. He saves people. Are his methods sometimes over the line? Yes. Does he get extreme sometimes? Yes. Does he hurt the people he goes up against? Again, oftentimes, yes. Has he killed people? Yes, he has. He's definitely not as much as I've seen of Batman. Batman is not at his core a murderer. It has happened, but it's not something he does. He's not the Punisher, for example. He's not the Punisher. He's definitely not, he's not even an anti-hero. He does his best to save his people. Even the people he's going up against, he does his best to make sure they're getting the help they need at Arkham Asylum, which, of course, Arkham Asylum, not the greatest mental care facility in America, but that's what he has to work with. But he's out there trying to help people so that the citizens of Gotham don't go through what he did when he was a child. Now, yes, we could also argue that, well, if Bruce Wayne really wanted to help people, he would divert his millions and his resources and his technology over to the GCPD, but we already talked about that the GCPD is also one of the corrupt elements of Gotham City, as well as the city government. Like, it's not just criminals on the lower street level. Like, it is a fundamentally corrupt city, despite all of the work that Batman and the Bat family and Commissioner Gordon do. Corruption seems to constantly devour Gotham City. But now, speaking of the Bat family, let's look at something else that Batman Bruce Wayne has done. Not only has he gone out and saved the citizens of Gotham City, he's found kids who were left orphaned by the same corruption that took his parents, and he's given them a home. He's given them the means and the technology and the skills to not become just a victim, but become a survivor of their trauma and fight back against Gotham. And most importantly, he's given them a family. Like, yes, he's their ward, he's their adoptive father figure, although we could probably argue that Alfred's really more the adoptive father figure, while Bruce Wayne's the cool uncle. But he's given them a home. He's given them a family. He's given these kids who were left orphans or left on the side of the street to die. And he's given them an identity, he's given them skills, he's given them resources, he's given them a place to sleep, he's given them food, he's given them shelter, care, all of these things, and he's given them a family. Just these few things. And then we could go through each and every Batman comic and find other instances where Batman is a hero. He acts heroically. He's not an anti-hero. He's not doing things for his own means that just happen to be heroic. He's not Malcolm Reynolds. He's not Kratos. He's not the Punisher. As much as we love the Punisher, and don't get me wrong, Punisher is a fantastic character, and I would love to sit here and just talk about the aspects and the characteristics of the Punisher. Batman is not the Punisher. The Punisher is not a hero. He's an anti-hero, but he is not a hero. He's not heroic. Batman is. Batman is out there doing his thing because he is a hero. The second thing that Robert Pattinson also touches on is the fact that, something that he likes about Batman, whether it makes him a hero or not, is that he's not the golden boy like almost every other comic book character, and that's something else I just really have to disagree with. I mean, yes, there are the golden boy archetype characters where they're basically the Boy Scout, because you got, like I said, you got Superman, you got Captain America, even Thor you could consider in some aspects the Boy Scout, but there are so many other characters that aren't the golden boy. Even outside, I mean, looking at some of the characters we've already talked about, like Punisher. There are so many other characters, both in DC and Marvel, and in all of the other comic book stories that are heroes, but they aren't the golden boy. So I don't think that I'm misinterpreting what Robert Pattinson had to say, but at the same time, I feel like he's definitely touching on something about Batman. I'm not mad about these statements. I'm not saying that he doesn't understand the character that he's trying to portray. I'm just saying that I think his perception of Batman is a little misguided. Because Batman isn't a villain. He's not an anti-hero. Batman is a hero. He is the hero, or at least one of the heroes of Gotham City. Better yet, Batman is a hero. Red Hood is not. Whether he becomes a hero, I don't know. I haven't read all of the stuff after Red Hood, but under the hood, or under the Red Hood, Red Hood is not a hero. Red Hood is essentially Punisher in Gotham City. But Batman is a hero. Batman acts heroically. Does Batman have a lot of flaws? Does Bruce Wayne have a lot of flaws? Yes, he does. He can be very selfish. He can be very isolationist. He can be very stubborn. He can definitely not pay attention to those closest around him and what it is that they need to take care of themselves, or even what it is to take care of himself. Like there are so many different complicated aspects to Bruce Wayne, to Batman. He's a very complicated character. There are a lot of levels and a lot of layers to him. And I don't want to say that he's a broken person, but there are definitely pieces missing that's part of his struggle that he's trying to put back together. You could even argue that part of his going out and saving people and being the vigilante hero that Gotham doesn't need but deserves is trying to find a way to fill those pieces in himself. But he is definitely a hero. Like, to say that he's not a hero, and maybe it really is the English major in me. I'm sitting here like trying to, look at the difference between, hero and anti-hero and the different character archetypes. To say that Batman isn't a hero is just wrong. It's and I'm not saying like, oh, that's so wrong. Like it's infactual. It's not factual. Batman is 100% a hero. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Batman? Is he a hero? He's definitely a hero. Or is he not a hero? Let me know in the comments of this video or on any of my social media. And if you want your answer featured in an upcoming video and segment of What You Gaming On, make sure to tell me the game you're playing, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and your answer will be featured in an upcoming video. You can check out all of my online content at tradeguillotine.blogspot.com and subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching. Have fun.